Welcome everybody, this is the second of my series of tutorials for Mega Man 4 Any Percent. Uh, Again, right now, working through the 8 robots. This is going to be number 2, likely for most people, and that's Pharaoh Man. The only time this won't be your second robot is if you decide you want to do Pharaoh first. But like I said in the previous video, most of the time we're just going... You're pushing this game just to be like, you know, happy sort of 40-ish minute time. This is a good stage to do second. Pharaoh first, again, only really necessary for somebody who's going for a really low time in this. So again, just like last time, I'm going to play through the entire video. Then we're going to go back and talk about each screen a little bit more in depth. Something that I am going to do in this tutorial, going to show the beginner route through the stage, the intermediate route through the stage, and then I'm going to show you an advanced way through the stage, but the advanced way I'm going to show that I want to talk about mostly is doing the stage Pharaoh first. I will show you the first couple screens doing it the advanced way without the Pharaoh first route, still changing to bright, but you'll see better movement, and you'll be able to actually see the time, the screen transition time, and the balloon time, as opposed to the Pharaoh first way. And you'll actually see how much time you lose in this stage to bright first if you do Pharaoh first. That's something that's kind of key here because, as you saw in the previous video with bright second, you notice that the fight time, if you compare in that video the time difference between the fight split and the screen 5 split, between the advanced strats and the bright second strats, you'll notice that it's quite a bit faster with the Pharaoh first route. But here you're going to see actually that the bright first route is going to save about a second on Pharaoh, which is kind of neat. But yeah, let's dive right into the beginners. So let's watch through the stage, and then we'll go back and we'll talk about it. Okay, so let's go back and let's talk about what we just watched. So critical, very critical point in this is Since you are now doing Pharaoh second, the first thing you want to do is pause and switch to bright. This is going to allow you to traverse this first screen without the scorpions coming out of the sand, and it'll also freeze the flies in place as you start going through these first screens so that they don't drop bullets on you. So it's really important to flash the screen and just slide as much as you can to keep Flash Stopper active. For a newer runner, you're going to notice that a lot of this movement here, I do like 3 slides, and then I'm jumping out of the sand. Because as you slide, obviously, you're going to sink in the sand. So I recommend for newer runners to maybe do 2-3 slides maximum, and then just do a little jump. A little jump will bring you back to the top of the sand, and then you can slide a couple times again, jump up, slide a couple times again. It helps with just getting comfortable. That way you're not going to worry about, oh, how close am I to the bottom, and then falling off the screen, because you can die once you get pulled to the bottom of the quicksand. Other than that, it's just try to just slide on everything when you're out of the quicksand as well. The more you slide, the better, really, because you're going to extend your Flash Stopper. Now, likely, in a beginner run, when you're getting used to the movement of this game, your Flash Stopper is probably going to wear off either around this point or maybe even earlier. It really depends on how much you're sliding. If you're not sliding very much, this is going to wear off a lot faster. So don't be assuming that it's going to last to this part of the screen here. It could wear off on you earlier if you don't slide a lot. As I mentioned in the general mechanics of the game tutorial, it's going to Flash Stopper is very dependent on your movement, and the more you slide, the longer it will last. So in this case, in this example that I'm showing here, it wears off about here, but don't assume that's going to wear off there. And so all I'm going to do is, I'm just going to pause and change to coil, and I'm actually just going to wait for this guy to move, and once I know it's clear, I'm just going to coil over the pit. And then I'm just going to change back to bright, and I'm going to flash again. And again, just slide 2 or 3 times and jump, and just stay close to the top of the surface, and you'll guarantee that you'll get through these screens into the balloon. Very simple, very straightforward, nothing too fancy. Just gets the job done. Okay, so now the bonus, obviously, about collecting the balloon is, now that we've got the balloon, we have a really good item that's going to be used a lot in the speedrun, and we have warped ourselves to the checkpoint room of Pharaoh. So we've actually warped a little bit past. We've skipped some rooms, basically, which is kind of nice. It's not terribly faster to go get the balloon compared to playing the rest of Pharaoh stage. It might even be like a handful of frames faster. You can do the rest of the stage, if you miss the balloon jump, almost as fast. However, if you don't do the balloon, or go over and get the balloon, you won't have the balloon for the rest of the speedrun, which means you're going to have to do a lot of different strats. And I might go through some of those later with regards to castle stages. Some maybe easier ways to do some rooms that don't require balloon. Mainly in Cossack 2, for example. That's a really good example where there's the really long spike room. It's a lot safer to just use Rush Jet there. It's slow, but it's a lot safer. But typically, for a normal speedrun, we want to get the balloon here in Pharaoh because it's so important to the speedrun. We can speed up so many different rooms, and there's so many cool strats with it. Definitely want to get it. Okay, so here, as we come into this checkpoint room, we're just going to slide off that corner. You can slide here and jump over this pit, or if you really don't feel comfortable sliding close to these pits with spikes yet, just do the slide to here and just walk over here and jump across. It really is on your own terms, really, with this. Like, don't feel like you have to do every little slide jump that I'm doing here. In fact, I'm even going to do a slide here and jump across to here. And if, again, that's too scary for you, just land here, walk over, and jump up onto this platform. So, okay. So a big thing that I'm going to talk about a little more in the intermediate section is these platforms and reducing lag. For a beginner, I would focus more on just getting across these platforms. Once you start to improve your time, you can start to look at this room a little more in depth and reduce your the lag you're causing based on your movement. But for right now, I'm just going to show you the idea here. So it's just basically ride these platforms, and when you get close to one of these other ones, jump across to the next one. Now, this jump specifically can give new runners some problems because if you jump and spawn this guy early, like I just did here, this guy's about to shoot me, which means a bullet is going to come across here. And if I don't jump over it, now I'm going to get hit. The other thing you have to be aware of is there's this bat up here. And if you do too big of a jump, you will hit this bat and like get knocked down and fall down. And if you do too short of a jump, you'll miss this jump and you'll hit the spikes. So this is actually a really scary spot for newer runners. My recommendation here, I'm not going to actually do it in this video, but my recommendation here, if this specific spot is giving you problems, when you're on this platform, just face left. If you face left, just let this bullet hit you. The bullet will deal about 2 damage, very, very minimal damage, so it's very safe with regards to health management. And then you have a lot of iframes. You'll probably get knocked down to these spikes here. Just as soon as you can, jump up here and jump up on top of this guy, and it's a free ride. Or your other option is you can jump up into the bat and fall back down and then jump up. But I think if you're worried about your health as a newer runner, just deboost on the bullet. The bat will deal 4 damage, I believe, but the bullet will only deal 2. So just take your time. In this case of this video, I actually do a little hop over the bullet and then I jump across. If you're feeling really risky, you can do something like that. But don't ever feel like you have to do something like that requires quite the accurate jump to jump over and land back on him and then jump across quickly before he despawns. Just if you're worried about it, like I said, just turn left, or even if you don't turn left, just take the hit and jump up and get on top of this platform. The rest of this room is pretty easy. It's as soon as this platform gets to about the edge, jump across to this guy. Same deal. As soon as this guy gets to about here, you're jumping across to this guy. There's nothing really fancy here. It's just jumping and riding the platforms. Okay, so here you have 2 options. This bat can sometimes be an issue. Like, as you see here, he just woke up. So the bats have 2 different patterns. They can wake up early or they can wake up late. This one woke up early, so he's actually going to come towards me. If I do a full jump, I'm actually going to jump into this bat. So as a beginner runner, you can do one of 2 things. You can go for this jump. I find it to be a little bit riskier, and you're going to see here that I actually just get underneath this bat and land on the ledge. That's a really scary jump for a newer runner. So what I would actually recommend is if you just stay on the platform, this platform will fall down here. So as long as you're not overhanging the left edge, you won't hit these spikes on the left here. If you just like stand right in the middle of this platform, just ride him down and he'll fall down here. And then once you're down here, just jump across and then you can slide. That bat will never then get in your way and you'll be completely safe no matter what happens. And then here you're just going to slide all the way to the edge. You can do a jump off. Like I mentioned in the previous video of Bright, if there's a transition that's down like this, you typically want to be jumping into the transition, not sliding off ledges, because you want to increase your fall speed as soon as possible. If you feel, again, that you sometimes don't jump far enough and you keep catching this edge or whatever, then just slide off the edge. It's really not a huge frame saving thing. It's minor details. And if you're a new runner, I wouldn't cry over those few frames lost. So here, I even do a big jump off that to show a little bit of what I was talking about, but it's not even necessary. You can just slide off every step if you want. It's really up to you. I try to leave for beginner runners, I just try to leave a little bit of the movement up in the air so that you are doing what is most comfortable to you. Okay, so here, as soon as you land here, you can do 3 slides. Your 3rd slide will always end you near this edge, okay? So don't feel like, unless you're walking and you're not chaining your slides well enough, you could slide off this edge. But if you do well-chained slides, so as soon as you land, just slide, slide, and slide. Don't do a crazy amount of walking. You will always come out of your 3rd slide here, just so you're aware. If you are moving a little bit to the right, you could potentially slide off, but typically a newer runner will like hold down and mash A to try to slide as soon as possible. I know I did that for a lot of my early MM4 runs before you get into like trying to time your A inputs. But from here, it's just an easy jump over to this guy. You also notice that as I jumped into this screen, I shot a bullet and I started charging a shot. Or actually, I shot it in this one, I shot it when I landed. And so I'm charging a shot here. And this charge is going to help you kill this mummy that's about to spawn. So I'm going to land on this guy. We're going to ride him. When I get to this lamp, I jump up and I release my charge. That's going to hit the mummy then, and then as soon as I land back down, I jump back up. And as I'm landing on this ledge, I'm just going to shoot my 3 extra shots because they have 6 hit points. So the full charge does 3 damage. The little lemons do 1 each. So I hit them 6 times. I actually accidentally jumped there, so I almost got hit by that head. But yeah, you can just let go of the charge and then jump up and shoot 3 times. If he does throw his head at you, you have a couple different options. You can do what I did. You can actually manipulate it so that the head goes up. Or if the head comes straight at you, you can actually slide under it too. But that's getting a little more advanced. You might want to just jump up and you might even potentially be able to jump over the head if it comes at you. But the big thing about this part right here is don't hang out by this little ledge here. You're better off to jump up and mash him 3 times and hold right and start walking towards him. Because if you hang out at this little ledge and his head comes over here and hits you and makes you fall down here, this platform is now gone. You cannot jump back up here without changing to Rush Coil or something. And Rush Coil is a little bit slower in 4 compared to some of the other games, so you won't probably be able to summon Rush all the way down to the spikes and then jump on him and get up. So it's kind of important, don't hang around this corner here. And then all I'm going to do is do a slide here and jump off this ledge, again, down to this guy. Nothing too crazy, we're just going to stand safely in the middle of this platform. Now, something to watch for. I move forward and I walk over to this right edge of this platform. Now, you can do a couple different things. You can jump off this guy to this ledge, or you can actually slide off this platform to this ledge. I have a visual cue. I watch, if I'm standing on the right edge where I have Mega Man's foot here on the right edge of this platform, I watch Mega Man's fist. And when Mega Man's fist hits this green glow of the light here, that's my trigger. I can slide off. Now, it's not just a neutral slide. You actually have to hold right when you do this slide. So you have to hold down right and hit A. And that will allow you to slide off the platform and land on this ledge every time. You'll see as soon as I hit there... Oh, actually, in this one, I'm just going to jump. This is a safer way to do it for a beginner row. If you want to do a slide off, you can. But it's even safer. You can... Same visual cue. You can just jump like I did there. And then just kill that guy. Take your time. It's no big deal. Slide. You can do another partial slide here if you want, but if you feel that's too risky, just walk up to this edge and jump up onto this guy. Okay, then again, this is something that a lot of people are a little bit scared of. Sometimes they worry about this jump to this guy. There's actually a secret to this that's super easy. Once you get to the point where you're up against this wall, you can just hold right. If you hold right, you'll walk into this wall, and as soon as this platform falls, you'll walk off and you'll land onto this. So actually, it's really easy. I still do a little jump here. I do like this little hop, and I bonk off the ceiling. That works as well. But if you're really scared, once you get close enough, just hold right. You'll be walking into this thing, walking into it. It'll fall, and then you'll land on this guy easy every time. Then, once you're landed on this guy, you can start shooting because there's another mummy coming up here. Again, another six shots will take him out. Then once you get close, you can either, again, slide off this onto here. It's probably, for a beginner runner, a little safer to jump off of this platform onto here. Because if you do slide too early, you can sometimes fall onto this spike here. So just, I would recommend for an early runner, probably just jump off this and onto this ledge. And then I charge for this one, and I jump up, release. I got hit there because I jumped a little too soon, but yeah, just jump, wait for the head to go across, and then jump up and shoot him the last 3 times. From this point, after this mummy dies, you want to start charging. So if you're not already holding B, make sure you press B and start holding it to start building your charge, because now we're going to go into the boss room. That's the end of the stage. That's the whole stage. Now, the only thing I really have to say about this fight, especially for a new runner, is this fight, don't feel bad if you're struggling with this fight. This fight takes a lot of practice. One thing that I will tell you, just like Bright Man, you know how Bright Man, like I said, always at the beginning of the fight jumps all the way across the other side of the room? Pharaoh's very similar. He's going to also do something that's exactly the same every time. He will come across the room, he'll do a couple jumps, and he'll throw 2 small Pharaoh shots at you. Every time. That's 100% of the time what he does at the start of the fight. So, knowing that, when this fight starts, I can jump up and release my charge at about this height. So do like a partial jump and release it, Actually, a full jump might even work as well, but I do like sort of like a half jump, and I release it at about the height that would be like standing level for this platform here. And as he jumps up, he'll actually jump up right into the bullet every time. So you can get a free charge shot hit at the very beginning of the fight every time. That's utilized in beginner all the way to advanced. Like it's a free hit, guarantee that you won't miss. You do have to jump up though to at least release it at about this height though. If you shoot it too low, like down here, he'll jump over it. But yeah, so overall, the only real thing I can talk about for strategy with this fight is this fight is one of the harder ones, and I recommend a lot of practice for it. But unlike the Bright fight, a lot of people like to casually stay really far away from Bright Man, and that makes it easier for them to dodge. In Pharaoh, however, if you stay really far away from him, he has a higher chance to jump at you. And if you stand really far away from him, it's a higher chance that he does an aggressive jump, which is when he throws the Pharaoh shots at you. He has two different type of jump patterns. He can do a high single jump where he throws nothing at you, and he can do two low jumps where he throws two Pharaoh shots each jump. So what I recommend doing is you want to try to stand closer to him. You'll notice that if let's say he's standing here, I would be standing about on this step here. I try to stay like about, I don't know, 2 tiles, I guess. So like this would be like 2 tiles here, this little brick here. So I try to stay about that distance away from him throughout the entire fight. He's more likely then, if he jumps, to give you a high jump. He can still sometimes do the aggressive jump, but more likely he'll do the big jump when you're that close, or he'll do a charge shot at you. Basically what we want is we want to force him to try to do as many charge shots as he can, because it forces him to stand in one place, and that allows you to just charge up and shoot him, and charge up and shoot him, and it makes him much easier to manage. If you start to get too far away and you get like this distance apart, you're more likely to have him jump at you and start throwing stuff at you. And that starts to make the fight a little bit more stressful because you're panicking because you're trying to dodge and then you're not getting hits in. And so the fight starts to go really slowly. So in this fight, I'm going to show a few different things in this fight, but the big thing that I want everybody to see at the beginning is this jump at the beginning and this release. So you notice I jump up here. Here's his jump. Now he's at this height. Pharaoh is actually already on his downward arc. So he's going to land here. He's about to throw his shot at me. Now, the reason why this strat is really good is because I'm up here and I'm releasing my shot. He's up here and he's about to come down into my shot and jump up again. So he's about to stay in this sort of V shape, which means he's perfect for getting hit by my buster charge, my charged buster. And he's about to throw a shot at me. When Pharaoh throws a shot, it's very much like the capsule fight at the end of the game, where the shot, when the shot spawns, will move towards Mega Man's location. The downside for Pharaoh is, because I'm up in the air, his shot is going to spawn and go like this at me. And I'm falling. So the beauty of this fight is, his shot, not only am I going to shoot him and get a hit in, his shot is going to go over top of me and miss me because I'm falling now. So you'll see it here. I hit him right as he was landing. So his shot actually appeared down here, so it's actually going to come down at me. So all I have to do is now jump over it. And now I'm charging again. So I'm getting my next charge ready. And he ended up throwing this one over here. I sort of like moved this way to make him throw it that way. It's all about just trying to manipulate his shots and then move out of the way, which is really hard to do. But if you can get a feel for it, it's not too bad. One thing I will recommend, Pharaoh is one of the only bosses. This is actually kind of important. Pharaoh is actually one of the only bosses in the game that doesn't deal 8 damage with his body. Pharaoh's body actually only deals 4 damage. His small Pharaoh shots that he throws only deal 2 damage, but his charged shot that he does, like he's doing right now, he's starting to charge up a shot, that does 6. So it's really important that if you're going to take damage in this fight, try to damage off small shots or his body. Try to never be hit by these big charges, because they will deal the most damage, and that's the part that gets scary. So even though Pharaoh can be a very aggressive fight, he actually deals the least amount of damage out of any robot in this game. So here you're going to see I'm trying to get my charge shot in. Here comes, you can always tell when he's about to throw it because his whole body goes white and the sort of like sprite animation of him charging up goes away. That means he's just about to throw it. So again, I'm just going to jump. I got lucky. He's going to jump at me. So when he jumps, you're just going to go underneath him. I have to go up on a step, so I jump here. But I just jump underneath him. I release my next shot. Oh, he's charging again. So now you see the parts are going into his body. It means here comes the shot. So I'm actually going to get hit by this one because I jumped too early. And you noticed I got hit by 6 damage. That's quite a bit of damage. But I still get my charge hit in. It's all good. He jumps toward me. I just jump away from him. He jumps at me. So that was kind of crappy because I didn't really have too many options there. I could have maybe slid under him if I was fast enough, but I got hit. And you notice that it only dealt 4 damage. It's not that bad. I can take that hit. I just take the hit. I get out of his hitbox. I missed him, but it's okay. I just basically want to stand fairly close to him. Like, look how close I am to him. Like, a normal player wouldn't want to do this because they're like, well, obviously he could hit me at any time. And yes, he in theory could if he gives you a really aggressive jump. But if you're this close, like I said, it's very rare to get an aggressive jump here. If you're this close to him, he will likely charge like he's doing right now, or he'll do a high jump. And if he gives you a high jump, just walk under him. If he gives you another high jump, just walk under him again. And the whole time you can charge. While he's jumping up in the air, you can be building a new charge and hit him when he lands. So I'm going to try to show that right here. Jump over the shot, hit him. He's jumping over me again. You notice I didn't even have to move. He jumped right over me. Like, I could just stand there. And then he gets to the corner. I shoot him again. And then he jumps at me again. I hop up the step. I just get away from him a little bit, but I'm staying close. I'm staying away, but I'm staying close. It's kind of almost counterintuitive because you don't want to get really far away from him, but you don't want to be standing, obviously, right next to him. So you see he jumps at me. I just walk over here. No big deal. He lands. I shoot him. Now he's jumping again. I'm just going to walk over to this corner and stand there. And then I get my full charge in. I release it. He starts charging again. I'm just going to wait for the particles to go in so they disappear. It means he's going to shoot, jump over the shot, and he jumps over to this side. Look, I didn't even have to move. He jumped right over me, and I'm just going to release my shot as he goes by, and I'm going to kill him. Now, there's a lot going on in this fight, and like I said, that's why I specified at the beginning of this that it does take a lot of practice. But if you can sit in this fight and just practice it a little bit and practice the movement, so when he jumps at you, just move a little bit out of the way. Don't panic and run really far away. Just move a little bit away. And if he starts to charge, practice the timing of when to jump over the charge shot, when to jump over the charge shot. And after a few times, it's just going to become second nature to you of the timing. Just like any game, it takes practice. And this fight is typically one that a lot of people lose time in because Pharaoh is one of the more random bosses. But if you stay close to him, he's more likely to give you a better pattern than if you stay really far away from him. In fact, if you go really far away from him, it's a very high chance that he's going to become a problem and start jumping like a monkey all over the room. So my biggest recommendation is to try to get used to and comfortable standing fairly close. Like if he's here, you're here. If he's here, you're here. If he's on this step, you're on the edge of this step. He's on this step, you're here. Down here, you're here. Like, just have those sort of positions known. It's like position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And if you can kind of keep in those 6 positions, it'll be really helpful. Okay, so that's sort of a really quick brush over the entire stage using some of these beginner strats. Now we're going to take a look at some of the more intermediate strats. So again, I'm going to let the video play. See if you can pick out the differences between the beginner and the intermediates, and then we'll go screen by screen and we'll talk about the new strats. Oh, I'll also put on the new splits here. Now you'll see there's some faster times in some of these screens. All right, so let's look at this. And we'll talk about that too as well. So you're gonna see there's really not a whole lot of difference in strats with regards to these first couple screens up to the balloon. But the big difference that you're gonna see is the movement might be a little bit better. So you're gonna have your flash probably last a little longer. But you notice that flash does wear off here pretty quick where we get to the scary jump. The difference between the beginner and the intermediate is, I'm just going to hesitate here. The fly starts to move again. I'm going to reflash the screen. And now instead of changing the coil, I'm just going to do a slide jump right to the edge and jump across. So it's a little bit harder because you got to be a little more comfortable with slide jumping over pits. Because if you fall down this pit, typically that's a reset. So this becomes kind of an important jump here, but if you can get comfortable doing slide jumps at these edges, like I talked about in the game mechanics tutorial, then definitely this is going to be the strat where you start to do this kind of stuff. And then again, this room, very similar. Just going to flash the screen so the scorpions and the flies don't really do anything, and you can just slide through with no problems and get the balloon. There's really not a whole lot to change in the first screens of this. Okay, so here's going to be the first big difference between beginner and intermediate. You remember that when I talked about, here, I'm going to land on this platform. I talked about how I spawn these platforms a little bit differently in a faster attempt here. Something you can do is if this bat spawns like he did, remember I talked about bats, they have a short or a longer spawn. If he just hangs there, you ignore him. But if he opens up early like this, you can actually land on this, jump up, and hit him a couple times really quick to kill him. That'll reduce some lag. Again, that's a little more of an advanced technique and takes quite a bit of practice, because if you jump too long, this platform will actually get away from you and you'll land and fall on the spikes. So this is sort of a borderline intermediate to advanced strat. I don't think it is that hard that it should be labeled advanced though. So if you're feeling a little bit gutsy, definitely try to go for that. Practice killing this bat. It's something you shouldn't do if you don't practice it, though, because it does have sort of a quick... It is a few quick inputs. You have to jump, land, jump up, turn left, shoot twice, and then turn right again to make sure that you land back on this platform. So the big thing that's going to be different now between the last one and this one, the beginner and the intermediate, is you're going to be spawning these next platforms in a very specific way. The whole thing about this room and about making it go faster, because you have to ride these platforms, there's really no way to make it go faster. However, these platforms fire bullets. Like, remember we talked about this jump underneath the bat and over the bullet? However, if you spawn these platforms in a very specific way, you can jump and land on these next platforms before they even fire their next bullet. You're going to see me here. I'm not going to get it. This guy, he got his shot off and I was a little bit late. And that's just due to that bat kill. My movement wasn't quite good enough. But I still jumped under the bat and over the bullet. And that gives me plenty of time to land here. Now you're noticing I'm trying to land where my foot is the only thing on the platform. The goal here is to try to manipulate when this platform spawns. And if you jump too far to the right, you'll spawn this guy early and you'll guarantee that this guy shoots bullets. So what you want to do is you want to jump so that only your foot is touching these platforms. As soon as you see this guy spawn, you do a neutral slide. And what a neutral slide is, if you don't know, I'll really sort of talk about it here. A neutral slide is where you just press down and A. Do not press down and right. Do not hold right or left when you're doing neutral slides. Just down and A. That will guarantee that Mega Man will slide to the edge, and this, instead of falling off, this platform will actually pick you back up after you fall. And so you'll come to a stop with your foot on the edge of this platform perfectly every time. You will never fall as long as you're not holding right. The only time that, I should clarify, the only time you could fall off is if the platform was like right here and it drops. That way it's not moving to the right, therefore it doesn't pick you back up. But as long as you do this, as soon as this guy spawns, that will never happen. You'll do the slide well before this drop off, and it is not a concern. So now that I'm right here, I want to jump across, and I want to land on this guy. Same deal with the foot on the edge of the platform. And you notice I landed on him. He did not shoot bullets. I didn't get bullets. So now I've reduced lag. That's a very good thing. Again, We're waiting on this same edge until this guy spawns. I see him spawn, I slide. I do a neutral slide, the platform catches me, I'm perfectly safe. Jump across, and no bullets. We're perfectly good here. Again, foot on the edge of the platform. I see the guy spawn, I slide, get to the edge, jump across, and it's perfect. So this is the last one. So as soon as I land on this one, I do my neutral slide and I get to the edge. The reason I do that is that spawns this bat. Now, again, if we get a long pattern from this bat, nothing happens really. We just get to a point where we get about here and we jump off the platform to the ledge and we slide across. But if he does open, we want to make sure that we kill this bat as we jump down. So if you're going to jump off here and this guy opens up, shoot 2 shots up here to kill this bat when you fall across here. So this time we did not get the bat to open. So I'm just going to jump there and I'm going to land underneath him and we're not going to even worry about him. So this is a little bit laggier because the bat will now open. Oh, actually I was fast enough he didn't open, but sometimes if these guys open up and start to flap at you early and that one's still on screen, you get a little bit of lag. But there's nothing you can do about that. But if that bat does open, it's really important to kill him so that you don't get any extra lag frames when you're sliding here. Again, sliding to about here, and then doing your jump down into the screen transition. Here, we're just going to land here. We're going to do one slide, and then as soon as we land here, we're going to jump and come right down here. No big deal. So here's another new strat that's a little bit different from that beginner one. So I had the beginners start to charge here. Instead of that, for the intermediate to advanced runners, we're not going to charge here. Charging up here will actually cause some lag when we release the shot with the mummy on screen. So what we want to do is not do that. We're going to mash this first mummy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide over here. As soon as I land on this platform, I'm going to jump straight up and shoot 2 shots. Right there. The reason I only shoot 2 is because if I shoot a 3rd shot, I'm going to get a lot of extra lag, just like if I shot a full charge buster. So it's actually really important to only shoot 2 shots there, or 1 or 2. But 2 is the ideal because then you don't have to shoot more when you jump up to kill the mummy. So I'm shooting 2 shots. He's not even on screen yet. And then I I land back on the platform and I do my neutral slide again. In this case, I'm actually going to do not just a neutral slide, but I'm going to jump out of my slide up here. That's not necessary. For an intermediate runner, I would just recommend doing your neutral slide or even just walk over to the platform. And as soon as you feel comfortable, jump up here and finish mashing the mummy. I like to do my 2 shots, and then as soon as I land, again, I'll land with my foot on the edge. I do a slide, and as soon as my hand gets to that point, just like ledge jumps, I'll jump out of my slide, and that makes me clear this corner here. So there, I'm clearing the corner, mummy's in place, and now I'm going to shoot 4 shots, which is the same amount of shots you would use to kill like a scorpion on the first screen. And that finishes him. I slide again. I even do a little bit of a shorter slide right here too. Again, if you're not comfortable doing that, by all means, just walk to the edge and jump. You'll always get here before this guy shoots bullets if your movement is really clean up there after killing the mummy. And then, just like I mentioned in the beginners, I'm going to do my neutral slide here so that I'm on the right edge. Like there. And then all I'm going to do is as soon as Mega Man's fist hits the glow part of the light, I'm going to slide off. There's my slide off, and I hold right. Make sure you hold right there because you want to make sure you fall off this platform. As soon as you land, you're going to do a slide. We're not going to kill this guy anymore because killing this guy is slow. We're going to deboost through this mummy. However, it's more damage to actually deboost against his body. So we want to actually deboost against his head. So what you're going to do is you're going to slide. I'm going to try to do this slowly. But slide till the head is right above you and then press left. The reason you want to do this is you'll turn left and it'll make Mega Man stand up. And then you'll get hit by the head as soon as you stand up. The reason this is advantageous instead of sliding into the mummy is you'll actually back damage boost then, and you'll actually still move a little bit to the right, like that. So now I'm like halfway in the mummy, and I'm in iframes. Now I can just slide through him. Whereas if I had just slid into the mummy's body, I would have taken damage, but I would have been stuck in place, and I wouldn't have moved to the right. So it's a little bit of an optimization. You can just turn left as the head is above you, and then it'll back damage boost you. And then I've got invincibility frames. I can slide through him, and I can jump up onto this platform. Same deal as the other platforms. I'm going to wait I'm going to wait for this next platform over here on the right to spawn. So I'm just going to stand here with my foot there. I see the platform, I slide, do my neutral slide again, not holding right. And as soon as I get to right there, where this platform is almost in line with this edge, that's when I do my little jump over across, and I land on this guy again before he shoots his bullets. And then in this case, you can just slide, do your neutral slide, get to the right edge, just like you do on all the other platforms, and shoot this mummy as he spawns. 6 shots, just like normal. And then you can actually, at this point, start charging for the Pharaoh Man fight. The beginner route, I had them kill this mummy. For the intermediate runners, I'm just going to have them jump up the steps. As soon as you land up here, slide. If you really want to feel ballsy, it's really hard to do because the inputs are quick. But you can do the same thing you did on the previous mummy where you hit left and it'll make you stand up and back deboost here. But it's a lot harder to do it because you don't have a lot of time to jump up here, up here, up here, and slide to get under this head. So I recommend just sliding into this mummy's body. And then continuing on, sliding on all the platforms, and going on. So there's quite a bit of tech in the intermediate and advanced runs compared to the beginners, where it's more about just smarter movement to reduce lag, is really all it is. It's not necessarily easier or harder, it's more just smarter movement and paying attention to what you're doing in each screen. Okay, so a big deal, just like we talked about in the fight on the beginner tutorial, is fight's going to start, Pharaoh's going to do his jumps, we're going to jump up and release our shot to hit him, and nothing really new, but like I explained in the beginner fight, I want you to watch the positions, okay? So position 1, where Mega Man is standing now, position 2 is this step, position 3, 4, 5, and 6. And these 6 positions, you're going to notice that those are my home bases. And I'm going to stay in those 6 spots as much as I can. So here we go. Fight's going to start. I'm going to jump up. I'm going to try to even hit him with a smaller shot to get that out of the way. I get hit, but it's okay. And now I'm in position 2, and I'm just going to hover this position until he jumps. He jumps at me, so now I'm going to move up to position 3. Still get my hit in. It's all good. I'm in position 3 now. Just hanging out at position 3. He jumps at position 3, so now I move to position 4. And I'm just going to hang here, and he's still charging at me. Back to position 3. I was going to move to 4, but he went all the way to the wall, so now I'm going to go back to position 2. And then I tried to lure him over to the middle, but he didn't bite. He decided to charge at me, so I went back to position 2 and finished him off. So that's all it is you want to just stay one position close to Pharaoh, and if you can, that's the ideal situation. If you want to know what just happened there, for people that are confused, I have a tutorial that I talk specifically about this animation skip, and I recommend giving that a watch. I believe the YouTube video is actually called Pharaoh Animation Skip. So just go down, scroll down if you're watching the playlist of these tutorials. Just scroll down and you'll find the video, or just look for it in my VODs. It won't be that much further back because most of these videos are pretty close together in time. But yeah, that's really all there is to it. It's nothing too fancy. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break this up a little bit. I'm gonna let this video play through the first half of the stage, okay? So let me go put this on screen for a second. So these are the splits. I want you to just really pay attention to the difference in time between screen 1 and balloon to the other ones. And I'm only gonna show you these first screens up to balloon. But you're going to notice that it's basically identical to intermediate, but now my movement is very clean. In fact, the flies, this flash stopper that I've used is not going to wear off. I'm going to continue this one flash through this entire screen because my slide chaining is so, it's chained very well together. So you notice that fly doesn't even move. And then I get into this screen, same deal, just flash the enemies, they don't move, and try to get the maximum amount of slides in all the way through this. Now, I'm going to come back to this video because I want to open up the, well, we'll let this play through, and I'll talk about, no, I better go back to the other video because there's going to be some stuff, there's going to be one thing in this, this specific video that I don't recommend a bright first runner doing for an advanced route. So I want to show the next video first. Now, before I let this play through, look again up here at the splits. Do you see screen 1 was a 16.4 and balloon time was a 27 flat. I'm going to now open up the the Pharaoh first strat screens. So you see the 16.4 is now 17.3. So you actually see that Pharaoh first screen 1 is slower than a bright first screen 1. And the balloon time is 28, whereas the balloon time for the advanced for bright first was 27. So I really am just losing about a second in the first screen because I have to mash these scorpions. So you're going to see that right here. A big deal with the two differences, or the two differences in the routes, is really just the fact that you have to mash these scorpions. So it's getting slides in and shooting 4 shots at these scorpions. Shooting 4 shots at this guy. And actually, after I shoot that 4th shot, after I kill this scorpion with the 4th shot, I hold B and I start charging. You see I'm charging right now? And that way I can just release B at this scorpion and shoot 1 time instead of having to mash him 4 times in a really short span. So I get him killed really fast and then I mash this guy 4 times again. Ideally, you have to watch out because these flies are dropping bullets. So this screen is a lot of improvisation because it's never the same every time in a row. Like, it's always different depending on where these flies drop these bullets. Jumping up, killing him with 4 shots. Jumping up, killing him with 4 shots. Now, this third one here, this last scorpion, I'm actually going to do a 3rd slide. I'm going to stop my slide and slide under him. I'm not even going to bother killing him. I actually do a slide cancel right in front of him, and then I slide underneath him. And then back up. Okay, so this is the reason why a lot of people either don't like Pharaoh first with regards to the 2 different strats, or it's a little bit more difficult, I guess. The movement from this exact point on needs to be really good, basically. Because if you miss some of these jumps or miss a slide somewhere in this section after this fly has spawned, it's very likely that this fly will hit you into the pit. Whereas if you have very clean slides like I just did there, even if this fly shoots bullets down at this point, you notice he's just getting over here. If he shoots a bullet right here, I'm already going to be across the pit by the time the bullet gets low enough that it would hit me. If he puts one here, same deal. I'm going to be, by the time he gets here, I'm going to be over here, like that, and the bullet will be falling, but I'll be already dropping as well, and I'll beat the bullet every time. If you miss a slide, there's potential that if he drops a bullet anywhere over this pit, you're going to just have to reset. Now, because it's Pharaoh first, it's not that big a deal. Reset, easy, because this is like 30 seconds into the run. It's not that big of a deal. But it is something to be aware of. If this is something that's driving you crazy, because this fly keeps knocking you into the pit, then it really just comes down to you need to practice your movement right here. Jumping up here, sliding. Jumping up here, sliding. Sliding. Slide, and jump. And if you get that movement clean, you will almost 100% of the time, I won't say 100 because I could be wrong on that, but I've never been hit into the pit when I've had that movement perfect. Not one time. I will always beat it. This jump here does not have to be a full jump. You can actually make this jump with a little bit less than a full jump. You can actually release A a little earlier than you think and still make this jump. But obviously for a newer runner, I would probably recommend, even if you're a more advanced speedrunner, full jumps obviously guarantee that you make that jump. I did a full jump there, so you notice I landed really far over to the right, but it's not necessary for this. And then the second screen is basically the same, except you don't have flash stopper, so now you have to chain your slides in a way that puts you under the scorpions, but dodges the bullets from the flies. Sometimes the flies will put a bullet in your path, and there's nothing you can do about it. And that's just something you have to accept. But the most important thing is doing your slides in a way that dodges the scorpions. And the way you can do that is either by doing... a lot of people will either do 4 slides, jump, 4 slides, jump, 4 slides. Or is it 3 slides at the end? I believe it'd be 3, maybe. Or you can do 5, 3, and 3. So it's 4, 4, 4, or 5, 3, 3 kind of thing. So here, I think I do 1, 2, 3, 4... 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 1. So I actually did 4, 5, 3 there. That gave me plenty of time to get past the first scorpion, and then 3 slides under the second scorpion, and then I did 1 little short slide after I jumped up there. So there's nothing too crazy in that room. And you notice the 2 times between screen 1 and balloon for this, you see here that this one is roughly 13 seconds, be 12.7 seconds. If I open up the other splits here, between this we have is that it'd be 11 if it was 27.4, so it's 10.6. So it's a little bit slower, probably because of lag from fly bullets and stuff like that. But it's not a whole lot slower, really. Like if you compare the 2 times, obviously this is faster if you do it with bright, but it's not it's not like to that same difficulty. The second screen is the first screen. The first screen has a lot of mashing, but you don't have to kill any of the scorpions in this version's second screen. So it's not too bad. So keep that in mind if you are doing Pharaoh first. You can actually see that they're very close here, but you do lose some time to the bright first route. But Pharaoh first gains a lot of time back in the bright man stage. Okay, so let's go back and talk about the second half. So this is going back to the advanced strats here. We're going to talk about the second half of this stage. Now, there's going to be not a whole lot of difference between the intermediate and the advanced strats here, but you're going to see one big difference. And this is something that even... well, this is something that only I do. So, like, it's... when I say this is advanced, this is... like, even the top tier runners prior, like, with all the top times, like second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, nobody else does this because I'm crazy. You're going to see the same strats again, same slides. I'm going to jump up and kill this bat because he spawned. Now you see me hanging out, getting on the edge of the platform, sliding as soon as he spawns, jumping across, sliding as soon as he spawns. Now here's the big difference. My setup for this strat, in case anybody is curious how this works, is what I do is when I jump across and land on this guy, I walk right. I do not slide on this guy. The timing for setting up the timing for the bullets and the deboost is really important. It's not really necessary for it to be perfect, but it makes the trick 100 times easier with this setup. So I'm going to jump across, and as soon as I land, I'm just going to walk to the right edge. And I know I've hit the right edge when the game it looked like I was going to fall. So I release right and the platform picks me back up. Same sort of idea as the slide to the edge. The platform always picks you back up. Now, because I've done this, I've spawned this guy at the right time so that when I'm ready to jump here, I want to be hitting his bullet right as soon as I can, like when it's right here, basically. Now, the idea here is that you want to try to jump across. You don't have to back damage boost this. I've definitely done it without back damage boosting it, but it also, again, makes this a lot easier because if you don't back damage boost, you'll get knocked back down on this platform, whereas if you do, you get knocked onto this edge of this spike, and it makes it a lot easier. And that's what I do in this trick. So as soon as I get here, it's right before this guy opens his eyes, I do a full jump. I'm jumping from about right here, so my head has just cleared this, so I'm not going to bonk. I do my full jump, his eyes are now open, and right as I get here, his bullet fires, and I turn left. That makes me get my back damage boost. Now I'm on this spike instead of on the platform, so all I have to do now is do my jump onto this guy. And as soon as I land, because you have very limited iframes, so you need this, if you're going to try this strat and try to do it, you need this strat to be very well practiced, because the more frames that you stand around not doing the trick basically means that the trick is either going to become harder or impossible. So you need to slide immediately, holding right now because you want to fall off the platform. And again, sliding as soon as you can on the spikes. And then it's hard now because Mega Man's blinking still because he's in iframes. I'll try to make it pause here. But you can kind of see that my hand is about here where my mouse cursor is. If I slide to about here, I die. So I need to jump about the middle of this spike here. If I don't jump before I get around this section here, somewhere between the edge of this spike and the middle of the spike, and I go around here, I can't make the jump. I'll die before my iframes will wear off, and I won't even be able to jump. But you can still make this jump from about here. I believe I'll double check it again later in emulator, but I'm pretty sure if you do the jump onto this guy perfectly, you have about 3 or 4 frames to make this jump, which is pretty big window. If you do not jump onto this guy correctly, you either lower the window if you do 1 frame longer, like if you hold A for 1 frame longer onto this guy and do a sloppier jump, the trick goes from being a 3 to 4 frame trick to either a 1 frame trick or a 0 frame trick, depending on your subpixel, which means if you do a sloppier jump onto this guy and you're on a bad subpixel, this will kill you. You can't make it. So the idea is to try to slide across the spikes, jump across, and land here, skipping. This trick saves, if done correctly, 16 frames. So that's about a quarter of a second, which, again, if you're pushing a really good time, you might want that quarter second extra to save time here. If you're not competing for a time that's essentially going for the record in this game, I don't recommend learning this, but and just stick with the intermediate strat up on that guy, because it's just not a huge time save. And so unless you're really trying to push your time lower, don't go for this. However, if you are just messing around with the game, I'd recommend, just trying it and giving it a try and seeing how hard it is, because you might find that it's actually not that bad and then decide that you want to try to throw it in there. So again, nothing different than here. You're going to do your slides, jump into this transition. This is a little bit different, okay? So you noticed in all my other ones, I slid off this edge down to this step and then I jump down. This time I'm going to slide to this edge and I'm going to try to jump all the way down here and skip this. So I do a full jump to get my velocity going downward quicker, and that skips that whole step. If you miss that, obviously you lose some time, but it's not that big of a time loss that, you can feel like you can go for it or not. Same strat as the intermediate one here. We're going to jump up, straight up, shoot 2 shots, and then slide and jump and mash him 4 times. Again, neutral slide here. Wait for Mega Man's fist to hit the glowing part of the light. Slide off. Back deboost on the head, just like we did in the intermediate. Nothing new here. Landing again with my foot here, just like the other one. Sliding over, jumping down there. 3 shots. Now, here's the only other difference. In the intermediate one, I had them just start charging here. And once I got here, slid off, deboosted on the mummy up here at the top as it spawns, and then slide through. This time, we're going to kill the mummy and slide through him. And it's essentially nothing new with muscle memory. I'm going to actually, as soon as this guy dies, I'm starting to charge here. So I'm building my charge. As soon as I get to this point here, I'm going to do a sort of a micro slide, and I'm going to jump up to this step. I'm going to actually jump up a little earlier. Like, proper movement would actually say that you should slide a little bit closer to this step and then jump up. But that makes this trick really hard. And so I sacrifice a couple frames here by jumping a little earlier, like that. And then I release my charge as I'm jumping up to this step. And that hits him. So now he's only got 3 health left. And then I'm going to jump up and shoot him 2 times on the way up and once on the way down, and then slide underneath the head. So it's a very quick motion. But if you can do it, it saves about maybe half a second. Whatever it would take for you to deboost through this guy and slide through, which isn't that much time, but it is a little bit of a time save. And then again, charging up because you need a charge for Pharaoh. So the only real difference in strategy for this fight that you're going to see in this one is, instead of doing what I did in the beginner and intermediate, is I hung around this side at the beginning. This time I'm going to jump up and let go of my shot just like I normally do. But instead of jumping back left, I'm going to do a little hop up to this step. And I'm actually going to go underneath Pharaoh and over top of his throw. So you're going to see this. I release my shot here. He's now going to throw a shot downward at me like this. And he's going to jump over like this. I'm going to jump up onto the step and he's going to go over top of me. I jump over his bullet and he goes over top of me. And then I turn and hit him with my small lemon shot and start charging. Now you're going to see the same thing. Position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm hanging out in 4. Go to 3. Back to 4. He's charging, I'm just going to charge. He's charging, I'm just going to charge. Still staying close to him. We're just going to hang out in these positions, and if he never decides to jump, I'm just going to stay here. Back to position 3, and finish the fight. The positions are... It's such a good strat, dude. Like, it just works so well. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about this stage. Obviously, practice the pixels and stuff. And the animation skip, if you want to try to learn that. It is about a 74 frame time save, so it is a pretty big time save and worth going for. But you do have to be on the pixel if you're going to go for it. So I recommend, like I talked about in the general game mechanics, I recommend learning the pixels first. That's like the biggest priority, and then going for the Dive Man and the Pharaoh Man animation skips later. So hopefully this has been really helpful, guys. This is the second one that I've done, and the Ringman one, hopefully I'll get to tomorrow night. These are long tutorials, so it's taking me some time to actually get through them and whatnot, but there's a lot of information in these. I know it's not going to be applicable to everybody, and so that's why I've tried to break it up into a beginner, an intermediate, and advanced, because advanced runners don't really need to watch the beginner one, right? They're just going to skip ahead. Like in the notes, you have the timestamps, so you can skip ahead to the different points. Hopefully this has been really helpful. Bright and Pharaoh have definitely the most information to try to absorb because of the two different routes. So hopefully some of these other ones will be a little bit shorter, but I'm sure they'll be just as long, because I've just got so much information that I want to put into these and get out there so people can really understand this game. So thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see a Ringman tutorial tomorrow. Take care.